Hello everyone and welcome to episode 34 of In Case You Missed It, and it's been a big week in film, so this is a big one to listen to. I imagine if you go and look, you can see the timestamp for this. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of our longest episodes that we've done, because
Uh-oh.
there's a lot to go through. And if you heard that noise, that means that I won't be going through all the big news by myself, and Tommy is the long-awaited return. He is back. How
I'm
you doing?
finally back.
Finally back. It's only been, a month and a bit?
Yeah,
5
holiday and
episodes?
moving house, which means moving studio.
Yeah. But you've chosen the right week to come back. I was going to get your opinion on some stuff that you might have missed, but I feel like we're probably going to cover a lot of that through this episode quite
Yeah,
naturally. So
yeah, I
kind of
can see
handy.
that.
So let's go into the trailers. The first one being, we got another look at Frozen 2, the second full trailer for this one, and I was actually, I don't remember, I can't remember. I'm sure I probably said yes for the first trailer, but I was still a bit hesitant towards it, thinking it might be a bit similar to the first one, which I didn't love. Whereas this one, you get a little bit more story, and I can see now that it's going in a different direction, and I'm actually quite excited for this one more than I was before watching this trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been quite excited and kind of singing the praises from the start. But yeah, like you say, this showed a little bit more, and I'm just a little bit more excited.
Although uh, you always get that moment in the trailer where you're reminded that it's a kids' film, and that for me is Olaf, who I feel is just going to be the Anna and Elsa are going to go off and do whatever they're doing, and then Olaf's just going to have his like one-liner in the background just to keep the children happy, which I felt was like this that bit after the title card for this trailer.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Well, it's still a yes for me. I think this is. It's obviously going to be huge, and we've spoken about it before, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But it's gonna be huge when it comes out in November, and I think it's uh, gonna be unique, and I'm glad that it's going down that sort of direction, and we're getting more of these because people still complain about the Disney remaking live action stuff, and even today I think I saw that uh, Snow White is going to start shooting in spring, the live action one,
Okay.
and even then people were complaining about that. But then it's good to get this sort of.
They've already done a live action Snow White.
But Disney haven't.
With us, yeah, is that not Disney?
No, the Kristen Stewart one.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't Disney.
Uh,
Because it's in the
Public domain.
whatever. Yeah, so that's why they had that.
Oh,
And
because I thought
nonsense.
the dwarves were a Disney thing. I didn't know that was part of the actual lore.
Oh, I don't know. But obviously all the songs are Disney anyway.
Oh yeah,
So whether they'll go down, which I imagine they probably will, at least for like Whistle While It Works and Hi Ho, they'll definitely have in them. But anyway, Frozen 2 is a yes for me, and I'm bringing it back. Tommy, you're gonna cry at this one.
I might.
Uh, the next trailer we got was for El Camino, which is having a really good marketing campaign. And if you're a Breaking Bad fan, they've had these
Is
like
it?
little teasers. I think so. I think the little I think if you're a Breaking Bad fan, seeing the like little teasers that they put out
Mm.
and have been putting out, and then dropping this. Um, what did you think of this trailer?
I thought the trailer looked just as boring as Breaking Bad.
Interesting. See, I felt opposite. Um, I can't remember if you said before how much of Breaking Bad. Did you watch all of it?
Oh yeah, I've seen every episode.
I haven't watched. I think I've only watched the first two seasons, and then I was
Oh
like, "No,
okay.
this just isn't for me."
Yeah.
So
Interesting, because
this,
it's still half decent at that point.
I don't know, but I don't know. There was something about it that just didn't grab me, and I thought, oh, it just isn't for me. The show. But this trailer, I don't know. There was something about it. It felt maybe it's just the sort of thing as to where there's just like enough of a trailer to put together to make the film look good, rather um, than putting all the pieces of the story which didn't perhaps interest me as much. I
Right.
don't know. So why did you think this was boring then?
It just seems a little one note. Like I feel like
Right.
okay, so he's going to be like on the run,
Yeah.
and that's
I
kind
get
of
that.
it. And it's just kind of I don't know, 13 different shots of him being on the run and upset and lonely and isolated, which I guess
Yeah.
is a cool concept for what to do kind of after Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But I think for me it's just the amount I don't care about Breaking Bad anymore is
Right.
just kind of taking over.
Do you feel like you're gonna watch this then?
I'm not gonna watch it. No, I'll give it a miss.
Interesting. Yeah, that's the thing. Because I'm not caught up, or even though I obviously know what happens at the end. Anyway, which this trailer confirms, and one of the other teasers confirmed. The fate of Walter White. Um, I think I don't. This trailer it does interest me, but because I haven't watched the rest of the show, I'm not, and all the other bits of it that I'm just not going to understand. I don't think that I'll watch it. I didn't think the trailer was that bad. I get what you mean, though. I really do, and so the trailer probably would have been, in a way, yes for me. I think.
It's a no for me.
Um, the next trailer we got was for Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
This is another A24 film, and A24 might be one of my favorite studios going at the moment. Just because the unique indie sort of films that they're putting out. And this one starring Adam Sandler doing a serious role, and anyone who knows me knows I love comedians doing serious roles, and that immediately grabbed me. I've been critical of Adam Sandler recently. To see him do this sort of film really grabbed me. What did you think of it?
Yeah. I mean, when Adam Sandler's, doing these sorts of roles, he's one of the best.
Mm.
And this is is it a Safdie? Is that how you pronounce it? Safdie
Yeah,
brothers film,
yeah,
who kind of most recently have been talked about a lot because, well, when Robert Pattinson was cast as Batman, everyone was talking about the film Good Time,
yeah,
which is the most recent Safdie brothers film,
yeah,
and kind of the pace and style of this just looks really unique and really, um, you know, of their own and their own style, and it's
yeah,
exciting to see emerging filmmakers having that kind of style and being something that's identifiable in a trailer, and so you can go like, oh, this is a Safdie film, or this is a Tarantino film, this is a
yeah,
Nolan film. You get that sense
yeah,
with these guys as well, which is exciting. And there's a great cast in here as well.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. And like I said, I think people rightly give Adam Sandler some shit for all the atrocious films he puts out. But when you
yeah,
look at films like the Meyerowitz stories,
yeah.
Punch Drunk Love, what was another one? Funny People.
Funny People, which I watched the other day off your recommendation.
What did you think?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, he's really good, isn't he?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I've been watching loads of stand up, like films about stand up, because I watched that. I watched Funny People, and then I watched the Jim and Andy documentary first, and then I watched The Man on the Moon afterwards.
Oh,
Watched it in that
nice.
order. And they're all good. I don't know why it's something that stand up route that I've gone down. Um, maybe it's just destined to be a comedian. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, no, this was a big yes. Do you think? Do you reckon Adam Sandler has any chance of any Oscar-y sort of? It's that time of year that it's coming out. It's coming out in December.
I've not seen it
Do you
yet.
reckon there's
We'll
a
see.
chance?
I mean, there's
Um,
always a chance.
yeah. But that's a big yes for me. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, me too.
It's really grabbed me.
Also, a big shout out to Adina Menzel making her way into 2 trailers this week.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yep,
And
or
just shout out to
Adele Dazeem, John Travolta's favourite actress.
um, the next trailer we got was for The Irishman, one of your most anticipated for the
Oh, yeah.
year. I can't remember if it was it must have been on your top 10.
Oh yeah.
Um, do you know the runtime of this film? Because we spoke about it when you weren't here.
I'll tell you what, it's gonna feel like less.
It's 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it'll feel like 2
Yeah.
hours.
because they had. Have you seen any of the reactions to it? Yeah, there was premiere was
Oh yeah,
a
yeah.
couple of
I've seen
days.
loads.
Yeah, and it's still 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and calling it a masterpiece of a film. Um, but before this trailer came out, the Netflix released the still images of Robert De Niro. I don't know. Did you see those?
No,
Where
I didn't.
everyone. So it's just like different, like one shot from each period of the life of this character that we're going to follow. So you saw the shot in the trailer that you have of him in World War One or World War Two, whichever war it is. I can't remember. And then yeah, just different phases, and everyone's like, "Oh, this looks awful," which that particular one does. But then I think the rest, especially in motion, look a lot better. Um, and this trailer's great. You can't not get excited for this. I can only imagine how excited you are for this film.
Yeah, I can't contain it. It's getting real close now, and I really cannot wait.
It's just under 2 months away, which is still a long time to wait.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to get a UK cinema release. I doubt it.
it will in London.
Are you gonna make your way? Oh, there you go.
Certainly.
8th of November, it's got a limited release in the UK.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and by limited, does that mean London? Probably just Picture House.
probably. But 3.5 hours is that's a long old time. That'll be my problem with watching on Netflix. I'm worried that if it's a bit of a slower one, which is Scorsese, so it probably is, um, even whether it feels like it or not. Um, I worry that I'm not going to be locked in as much as I would be as watching it in the cinema. But I understand that you're not going to put a 3.5 hour film in the cinema these days, unless you're Avengers, which even that was 3 hours. But yeah, that was a big yes for me, and as you say, I can't wait for that in just under 2 months. And
Can I make a prediction?
go on then,
This film's gonna be better than Avengers, and it won't even be
maybe
close.
I've started doing my list towards for the end of the year just to see where I was at, and Avengers was higher than I thought it would be. Not that it's been a bad year, but I don't know. It's interesting. It's getting towards our sort of like favorite time of the year. It's like start of festival season's coming and sort of going now, and we're getting all the Oscar-y sort of films. So this is when Tommy's top 10 list will all suddenly come out within the next three
Shift,
months.
yeah, yeah, it's
um,
true.
let's go into the
We
headlines.
should
Well,
we should maybe do in like June. We should do like a top 10 so far list, and then when we do our end of year top tens, we can compare it and see how much has gone. We should do that
we
next
should.
year.
Yeah, and then we'll see because the order list
Write
will
that
be
down.
completely
Someone write that
different.
down. Yeah, yeah. My list would all 10 would change.
You'll do a top 10 worst list, and it'll just be those 10. You just moved them all down. Let's go into the headlines, and there was a lot to talk about this week. Um, the first one, which seems like it came out ages ago, is that Jonah Hill is in talks to be in the Batman. There were different reports about who he's going to be. The initial report said the Penguin, and then I
Well,
think it was Snyder said the No, it's actually going to be the Riddler, and then
I
other people
think
going in between
I
them.
don't think there was actually ever a report that said he was playing Penguin. I
Right,
think there was a report that
he
he
was
was
just going to be in it.
cast, and then everyone just thought he was going to be the Penguin
Yeah,
because he's like a shorter, chubbier dude.
although
Like,
he's not. He's
and that's
ripped.
it.
He is ripped.
I wouldn't say he's ripped. I'd say he's in shape.
I don't know. I suppose. Yeah. Okay. Fair. But compared to what he was, he's gone. He's ripped now from what he was.
I think he'd be a really good Riddler.
Mm.
I think he'd be a really good Penguin as well, but I think he'd be a really good Riddler. I think my thing is I just don't want the same villains that we've seen before. I just want Batman's got so many villains and arguably the best villains of any other hero, and I just don't want to see the same ones over and over again. And it's getting boring.
I mean, we obviously didn't see these in the Dark Knight, so we haven't seen them since. Well, the Riddler it wouldn't have been since Jim Carrey did it in Batman
Yeah.
Forever, which yeah, was Forever. And then Penguin we hadn't seen since Batman Returns, which is obviously even over 20 years ago now.
It doesn't matter though. How many Batman films are there? Like 8? That's a random number I've just pulled out at the top of my head.
Um,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my
Whoa.
god! Right, there's 8 Batman films. um, and there's God, how many villains to pull from that are great? Probably 15 to 20.
Yeah,
Why do we have to rehash when we're so few into it? I think it's ridiculous.
I think I don't know, especially for the first film. I think it kind of does make a little bit more. They just want to put a little bit more trust into it and do, especially if they're gonna do Long Halloween, which is the rumor, and they're gonna have multiple people in there anyway. Um, so I don't really know. The other bit of casting we got was that Jeffrey Wright is going to be uh, Commissioner Gordon,
Love that.
which is incredible. Which also means that J.K. Simmons is out. Which, if you didn't already work out, this Batman isn't in the same universe as Ben Affleck's. Which for some people were like, oh yeah.
Did I ever bring up my whole? It's like a jokey thing about how ginger people always get recast as black people in films.
I don't remember. You might have. I feel like I've heard it. But I don't know.
I
If
know
it was
I
on
went
this
into it
podcast.
like years ago on Segway City. I went into it quite big and listed off all these different characters that always seem to get replaced. But yeah, it's gonna happen again then because Barbara Gordon, if her dad's Jeffrey
That's
Wright,
true.
she's probably not gonna be Ginger.
That's a good point.
I'm just saying it happens like all the time.
I'm now trying to think of like other gingers that are gonna be replaced soon.
I think I should point out that like I'm not against it. And I think there should be more representation in cinema. I just think it's a really funny coincidence that it always seems to be the ginger character that are like, yeah, let's just let's do it with that one.
There was also casting rumors going around that Giancarlo Esposito and Jamie Foxx are also going to be in the Batman. They didn't say what roles they were going to be in. Some people were saying perhaps Giancarlo is going to be Alfred, which I'd be down for, or and Jamie Foxx perhaps as Lucius Fox, which would just be
Right.
hilarious because his surname's Fox, like the character. Let's move on to the next story, and which is that Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum are going to come back to Jurassic World in the next third installment of the film. Did you watch the short film they released a couple of weeks ago?
No, I didn't. I still haven't seen Fallen
I
Kingdom either.
well, you'd probably enjoy the short film more than Fallen Kingdom because
Fair enough.
one, it's a lot shorter, and it kind of sets up a world of what you want, what you expect the world to be at this point anyway, where the dinosaurs
Right.
are now kind of loose. So it doesn't surprise me necessarily that these are coming back, but Colin Trevorrow came out. They had a screening in LA of the first Jurassic World where Colin Trevorrow was, and he made the announcement there that these three are all coming back, and they're not just going to have cameos like Jeff Goldblum had in Fallen Kingdom, but they're all coming back to have a major role alongside Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt in the sixth Jurassic Park film, which is mad. Yeah, that's kind of just a headline. There isn't really too much to talk about. It's exciting.
Fair enough, but I do have something to go
Go on.
back to. I've got some examples of redheads being
Go on.
recast. So obviously you've got Zendaya as Mary
Yeah.
Jane. You've got whoever the young lady is in the Titans TV show as Starfire.
Who was the ginger before that?
Her?
Was there a ginger Starfire?
What do you mean? Was there? She's always been ginger.
What? But that's just the character's hair.
What? She's.
I
What are you
don't
talking about?
know. Go on.
She's always been like ginger. Heimdall from Thor. Electro from like the Spider-Man
Oh,
villain. Wally West, the second Flash.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Obviously, Ariel has been
Oh
obviously
yeah.
most recently in the headlines. Yeah, it's a thing. It's an epidemic.
Maybe we should do that on in development. Just recast all redhead roles in films.
I think it should be. I think it should be an in focus, like a
Hmm.
serious look into this. I think they did something with what's his name? Jimmy from what's his name? Superman's
Oh yeah,
mate,
Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen.
Oh yeah, in
Yeah, I
Supergirl.
think
Yeah.
there you go.
Do you
I
reckon they'll
can't think of
do
any others off the top. I'm sure
Carrot
there's
Top?
more.
Do you reckon he'll get replaced?
I can't think of any
I don't think
others.
that's
I don't know.
insurance.
I'm
There
sure there's
must
more.
be more.
But it's crazy, right? Like it's the thing. Oh, no wait, was that one?
Do you reckon Merida, when they
No,
do a live
no,
action Brave, do you reckon Merida will be African American?
maybe. Like I
No.
said, it's just like a joke, and people shouldn't take me seriously. And I'm all for representation. I just think it's funny.
Um, Speaking of funny, they are doing a remake of Clue, and Jason Bateman. Thank you.
Great segue.
Um, Jason Bateman, who recently won an Emmy for his directing in Ozark, is in talks to direct it with Ryan Reynolds, and I don't understand how they're gonna do this film because the first one is obviously amazing, and
Yeah, it's perfect.
but
Yeah.
you can't do the ending again, and that is
Why
you
not?
can't do that same sort of ending.
Well, there's like
So you
5
can't do that
endings.
again. Let's just do it in the same bit.
I think that'd be great to do that in this modern age because depending on what cinema you go to and which friends you're talking to, it's a different ending. And a lot of people don't know the film Clue exists, so I think it's a really good time to remake it and to have that gag. And I hope people keep their lips sealed.
I
Like the
suppose,
Mousetrap on the West End. Like you're part of it if you're
yeah,
keeping
I
the
suppose
secret.
if you haven't seen it and aren't aware of it, then it will be a big shock. But for those who know it, is then you're kind of just expecting that to happen, don't you think? And that will kind of take away that sort of magic and humor of it. I'm sure when you've got talented people like Bateman and Reynolds on, they'll probably find a way to do it right. But an update, I don't know. I just don't want. I'm worried that it's just going to be too much of a remake. What is it about Hollywood remaking Tim Curry things at the moment? Which they did it. Do you reckon they're going to
Is
do?
I mean, is that a Tim Curry thing,
Yeah.
or is that just a really popular Stephen King book?
I think it's. I reckon the common link here is Tim Curry. I think the next thing they're going to remake Rocky Horror. I'm calling it.
I
No,
don't
they
know
can't.
about that.
They can't.
I
That
don't
is
know
one
about
they
that.
can't remake. They
I
did.
mean,
They did
they
it in that
can.
TV show. They did a TV version of it, and it wasn't that great. Um, but obviously, was it Bateman that was in Game 9? So he has experience of that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I know it kind of doesn't count because I already said Wally West, but in the Flash TV show, Iris
That's
West,
true.
who's also
And they
Ginger
were
in the
gonna
comics.
do. She was also gonna be African American in the Flash film. If that happens, does that count?
Oh, really? That counts. I'm counting it. Just put it on the
I
tally.
feel like that's what this episode has now become. I'm trying to think of. I'm now looking around my room at Blu-ray, trying to. No.
Sounds
I
like
didn't.
you're
I
punching
turned my head
microphones as
was
well.
too. My headphones was way too close. Now, Tommy, I know how much you love Star Wars, which is
I love Star Wars. This is
you
true.
almost love it as much as George Lucas, which is the correct statement. So Bob Iger had a book come out, and the main thing is that why does Bob Iger need a book, and why does he not tell us all how to become Bob Iger in this book? But the main thing that people, so
I
do I.
love Bob Iger. I'm gonna say it might be controversial.
Yeah, so
I
do
think
I.
he's brilliant.
Um,
I think he won
yeah,
Hollywood.
he's completed it. You know, Monopoly, he won. He went round the board. He's landed on. He's landed on Go. He's going again. He's going round
Yep.
again.
Collected
Exactly.
200 properties. Businesses.
The main thing that people took away from this book is the George Lucas stuff, and we kind of heard rumors about this. And I think he made a comment about the Force Awakens earlier to the time, but we got a little bit more of a insight into the deal in this book. And so when George Lucas sold Disney to, or sold Lucasfilm to Disney, even, um,
Yeah.
he also gave 4 treatments for films, which you would assume are the new trilogy that we've got, and Solo as well, which I think he worked on with Kasdan. Um, and then Disney went, okay, thank you very much, we'll take those, and obviously just swept them straight into the bin. Um, and he felt betrayed and devastated, were the words that Bob Iger used in his book when they told him what was going to happen in Force Awakens. Um, so what do you think about this? Do you think Disney should have stuck with this? I know you don't like The Force Awakens or what Disney have done, but do you think they should have stuck by what George gave them to do? Um, yeah, that's my question.
It's tough. I think there's obviously two sides to it. I mean, firstly, I too was devastated. But I think it's important to note that it's not up to Disney to make the films that George outlined.
He's sold them the company, so it's up to them to do whatever they want with the property. But obviously, he created
right.
the original
But
six.
I mean, the man is undeniably brilliant. When you look at Star Wars and Indiana Jones, especially Indiana Jones and films like Empire Strikes Back, 2 films that he didn't direct but he did outline or produce and write the treatments for. So he's clearly a big picture guy. I mean, everyone always says that he's not an actor's director, and he's kind of a million miles ahead and away and already thinking about the editing booth and all this sort of stuff. So I think actually in that role of handing over a treatment that would then be rewritten, refined, I think it probably would have been a huge asset that they didn't use, and I think that probably is a mistake. Especially when the discussion about the direction of this was between Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, Alan Horn, and J.J. Abrams, all of whom are producers first and foremost. J.J. Abrams sort of became a director, and a good one. So I just don't know if that was the right move. And I guess we'll never know now.
That gets me about, I don't know, and we'll talk about it in a bit when we talk about our other Star Wars related story, is that he handed over the 4 treatments, which obviously means that he had a plan for that trilogy, which obviously Lucasfilm, as much as I don't mind, or I really like The Force Awakens and don't mind The Last Jedi, there isn't a plan there, and you can kind of see that, and because of what JJ sets up in Force Awakens and isn't paid off in Rian Johnson's film, or he just throws it straight in the bin, like with Snoke and stuff. And that's kind of where it's a little bit more frustrating to me. And yeah, we'll talk about it in a little bit when we talk about when we talk about Kevin Feige and what he's going to be doing with Star Wars. Do you think we'll ever get to see what George Lucas planned to do, perhaps in a comic book like he did with the Star Wars comic book, which is based off his original screenplay?
Well, we got not even just a Star Wars comic, but we got a whole novel written about his Star Wars sequel, Splinter in the Mind's Eye, which is based on when they thought the budget would be lower, so they could only be in one location. All these sorts of things. It was adapted in something. But I don't know, with this world that we live in of everything's got to be canon and stuff like that, I think it's probably less likely. I mean, something might leak in 10 years, 20 years, or George Lucas might write a tell-all book at the end of his days and publish it, and we'll find out then. Or even if he just reveals a snippet of my treatment was about Luke Skywalker's academy and Jason Solo. If he releases tidbits like that, maybe. I don't know that we'll get any kind of adaptation of that in any form. I just don't think the way the landscape is for canon and stuff at the moment allows for that.
I think perhaps further down,
which I think's fine. Yeah. I think that's fine. I think that's fair enough.
Perhaps further down the line. I don't think it'll be any time soon. and by that I mean in like perhaps like 30 years or something, perhaps, but maybe not even then. We don't even know how they exist now, or even if they do technically exist, um, or if they've just gone straight into the bin. 'Cause he is getting on a bit, as much as we don't like to say, but um, I think by that point he might have moved on, and Star Wars will have moved on and going to a different uh, like phase, and they've got obviously got a plan. We'll talk about that in a second. Um, the next headline has come around a bit for you because you weren't here when Spider-Man left the MCU, but now you've come back
Yeah.
on this podcast. Spider-Man's come back.
It's like it never happened to me.
So what we could say is that it's either your fault that Spider-Man left the MCU.
Right. Well,
Um,
let me tell you what
go on then.
happened. I was negotiating with the executives of the Insider Network, and they wanted more money, so I left, and we've finally come to a compromise that I'm now going to get actually double what I was getting before.
Oh.
And as we all know, double zero is still
Yeah.
zero, but no. Anyway, I think this whole thing is blown well out of proportion because it's one of the largest franchises and two of the largest studios in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I think this kind of thing goes on every single day in Hollywood, in various restaurants, cafeterias, boardrooms, teleconferences, emails. I think this kind of thing is always happening, these kind of big moves. I think it was just this one was very well publicized. I think Sony played a move by going to the press with it. I think that was very deliberate.
Did you think that was
I
Sony
think
over?
there was a lot of bluff calling.
You thought that was Sony going to the press more rather than Disney leaking it first?
I think Sony went to the press with it. Yeah, I think it was. I think the plan was to try and vilify Disney, and I think it kind of worked.
I think it vilified them both. I don't think it was a win for either of them necessarily.
I don't know that it vilified Sony really. I don't know if it did. I feel like there's a lot of like kind of fanboys that were against Sony just because they wasn't going to get the Spider-Man stories that they wanted. But I think in business sense,
Right.
Sony were on the right
100%.
side of it, and Disney were trying to play a big boy move, and it kind of backfired a little bit. Yeah. I think in terms of business, it's probably settled the exact same way it would have if there was no press involved, which is, a little bit frustrating, I'm sure, for everyone involved. But what's good for everyone involved, including the fans, is that we get those Spider-Man stories resolved. Maybe they'll kill Spider-Man off
Here's the question.
Just to stop Sony getting any more money after the two films.
We know that we've now got a Spider-Man film, a third Spider-Man film release date, which will be in 2021, which comes after, which goes in the gap between Doctor Strange and Thor, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that, actually. I don't think it is. Or is it? I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, that's when it'll be in 2021. There's also he will appear in one other MCU film. We obviously don't know what that is. What sort of, is there a character you want to see him in, perhaps slate wise, or maybe a film that hasn't been announced yet that you want to see? People have said maybe he's going to appear in a third Deadpool film if that ever happens. Maybe that will be how.
I don't know if I'm interested in the Deadpool thing. I don't think I do have a particular preference. I think just whatever works, whatever's fun, whatever makes sense. I'm not quite really tied into any particular one way or the other.
And then the other thing that Kevin Feige said about this is that pretty much it says Tom Holland he pretty much basically said, without saying it, that Tom Holland can appear in Venom, pretty much. Which, I don't know, my theory now is that there's a Tom Holland Spider-Man in the MCU, and there's also going to be a Tom Holland Spider-Man in the Venom-verse, or whatever you want to call it. And then maybe that'll mean Spider-Verse down the line, maybe it won't, but I think that's going to be how they get around it. Because I don't think this deal's going to last forever. We've only got one more film, and then a cameo or a role in another film, whatever that will be. um, and I, I I just don't see it last. I think they both want to build to. I think the MCU would rather build towards Miles and where that's gonna go. Whereas I don't know if Sony wants to do that yet.
I mean, if Venom 2
Yeah,
flops, um, and any of these animated
I mean,
Spider-Man, Spider-Verse
yeah.
films flop, there's a world out there where Disney just cough up $4 billion
I think
for
I saw that
Spider-Man.
Sony wanted 10 for him, 10 billion for Spider-Man,
Right.
um, which is over double what they'd paid for Star Wars. But that,
I mean, that was a
yeah,
long time ago. That was
exactly.
2012.
And that by the time if that deal went through, it would be 2020. Um, and Sony have obviously got a big future planned for that. They're obviously planning for Venom 2. They've got Morbius coming out next year as well. They've obviously got all the animated stuff. Um, there was a
So if I give you obviously the scale of, Lucasfilm sold to Disney for just over 4 billion back in 2012, and the whole of Fox, which included, did it include all their television stuff? I know it included FX, Fox
ooh,
Network. I don't think it, or Nat Geo, but I don't think it included their news
it didn't know. It
yeah,
didn't
like
include the
monopoly
news.
rules with like ABC News and stuff like that. Um,
Mm.
right, but and that sold for what? How much was that? 70. Let's call it 70 billion, just a round number. I can't remember what the exact number was now. 71.3 billion. So where do you think? And this isn't buying Sony. This is because Sony's a big company with
Just the
entertainment. Just
Spider-Man
buying the
character,
Spider-Man
and
rights back.
um, I'd put if you buying the whole of Lucasfilm, which essentially is Star Wars and
Yep.
Indiana Jones. That's
Yep.
what you're buying. Um, I think it's difficult to put it just from if you're measuring it against that. I think it'd be difficult to put it at more than 2 billion.
Well, I mean that was
I think
2012. It's a different market.
is it, but exactly that's what I'd if I was adjusting that. I guess 10 billion probably would make about
So here's the
sense.
question as well.
If
If
not,
if that's what it's worth to Sony and they're looking at what Disney are buying, is it is so I'm not saying is that the value of Spider-Man, but is Spider-Man worth that? Because let me give you some perspective. Um, before
that's a good
Disney
question.
had Spider-Man, Spider-Man was making like what did the Amazing Spider-Man movies do at the box office? Probably 700 700 to 800 million each, right?
Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy did 750 million. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 did 800 million, and no one had ever heard of them.
Yeah.
And then after
Yeah.
that, I think Spider-Man Homecoming did about maybe 800 million, maybe less. And then obviously Far From Home did 1 billion, but that was also the first film after Endgame. So I feel like Spider-Man is worth more with Disney, but at the same time,
Yeah.
Disney don't need Spider-Man. Spider-Man's worth less to
Yeah.
them than it
I
is to
agree with that.
Sony. So I don't think you're
That's
ever going to get that deal locked unless Sony are desperate the way
mm.
Marvel were desperate in the 90s. And I just don't think Sony are ever going to be that desperate.
No, I can. Yeah, I agree with you there, and I think it looks like Marvel are going to go down and start using some of the lesser known characters, and I think they can fill the void that Spider-Man has. And I don't think you're ever. I think people will moan to start with, but then um, once we get these, like a sequel to Spider Verse or whatever the future is planned for this character, I think people will start to soften up once that gets in motion. But it's that thing of it's the internet, and at the moment was the way everyone thinks they've got a voice, and the fact that this deal works out, I think fans are going to be like, "Oh, we did it," which they obviously have, and I get that because we wanted to see, obviously, leaving Far From Home on such a big cliffhanger, and the way that that ends. I think just one other film, and I think it probably will be how this third film will go. Sort of writing this character out, getting rid of all the loose ends that he has. So if Sony want to do a Tom Holland Spider-Man 4, essentially, then it won't be tied in. It won't feel like it'll have to be tied in with the MCU. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's the future of the character. As much as it would be nice to see all these characters work together, I think Marvel have bigger plans than Spider-Man, and I think we're going to see that over the coming years when they've got all these TV shows of smaller characters than Spider-Man um, come to fruition. Talking about Marvel, I think the biggest news, arguably, is that this week is that Kevin Feige is going to be developing a Star Wars film. I'm interested to get your thoughts on this because I know obviously we just spoke about how much you don't like, haven't loved what Disney have done with uh, Star Wars so far. Well, I know you like half of them. Obviously, Rogue One and Solo you enjoy. Um,
yeah,
um,
it's true. And I love everything. I love everything that's come out of Rebels. I loved most of the comics. I just don't like Force
so,
Awakens and The
what do you
Last
think
Jedi.
about
I just don't like the sequel
what do you
trilogy.
think about Kevin Feige, obviously president of Marvel Studios, produced all of the MCU and some other Marvel properties before then and some other stuff. What do you think about him developing a Star Wars film? Does that excite you?
Yeah, 100%. It excites me. I mean, I've always said this. I'm sure I've said this loads on the podcast. I'm always excited when talented people are doing anything because they're talented. So, I think he's got a really good mind for business. He's got also a really good creative mind. I think he knows his strengths and he knows his weaknesses very well, which I think's critical. So I think he's going to
Mm.
find the right people and nurture the right talent. And I'm just really excited to see what we get from him and what the first announcement's going to be about what his involvement is.
I think I think we'll find out next year at Celebration. I think they haven't said anything about the Benioff and Wire stuff or this yet because of Rise of Skywalker. They kind of want to get that out of the way. So I think at Celebration we'll get. And to be fair, they might be talking about the same thing. It could be that Feige's now come on board to help Benioff and Wise
Or
do whatever they're
or
doing.
Ryan Johnson's trilogy.
Or Ryan Johnson's trilogy. It could be that, or it could be something completely separate. Um, but do you think this is perhaps paving the way for him to take over from Kathleen Kennedy?
I don't know about that. I mean, I've often said that I don't think Kathleen should necessarily be making the creative decisions. I think she's got an excellent mind for
Yeah,
business. I don't think she's got the greatest creative mind. I think I
yeah,
think I mean Bob Iger's probably the same at Disney. And
yeah,
I think what Bob Iger does brilliantly is have people like Kevin Feige. So I think Kathleen Kennedy
yeah.
having someone like Kevin Feige is just a great move. So I don't know if it necessarily means that. For some reason, a lot of people are crying for that, and I feel like they're just forgetting that this is the
Mm.
person who brought you Raiders of the Lost Ark and Back to the Future, and Jurassic Park
I think
and E.T. Um, so yeah, we'll see.
I
I don't
think
think it
what
should be.
no, he's come out and said that he's a big Star Wars fan. He said that a while ago when I think he was promoting one of his other things. I think it was Black Panther that just before when he was on the Star Wars show, talking about his love of Star Wars on there. So it's kind of it wasn't a big surprise when this came out to me, but I agree that I think what people are crying out for is a plan. They want something like I was saying a little bit earlier. I think people want structure to what that's what the MCU has done well. They've got this narrative going through all of their films, whether they're loosely tied in to the overall arc of what, especially what the Infinity Saga was. You kind of see this through line going through it, and even from Force Awakens to Last Jedi, you can see there's a little bit of that missing, and there didn't seem to be a plan. And then even getting JJ back, I think it might feel a little bit more even disjointed. Um, I've probably said it before, but I'd like Filoni to do it, who obviously wrote and produced, and it seems to be going down towards doing the TV
I mean,
stuff.
he feels like the heir apparent, doesn't he? He was literally like
Exactly.
tutored under Lucas.
Yeah, and to me that'd make a lot of sense. I think, but perhaps Lucasfilm are a little bit more hesitant to do that, and that's why they're seemingly testing him with some of the TV stuff to start with. Um, I don't know. Kevin Feige's obviously a big Star Wars fan, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is more than one film. I don't know whether this is the sort of situation as to where he's come to them with an idea, or whether there was already an idea out there and Kevin Feige going, "Oh, I'd be interested in doing that." He has spoken to an actor already. That he said was like a big star. I saw a couple of people were speculating as to whether it would be Sebastian Stan. Obviously, kind of looks quite a lot like a young Mark Hamill. So people were like, maybe we'll get a Luke Skywalker film. I don't think it'll be that. The other one is that on Collider's tweet about this story, Chris Evans, they asked, "Who do you want to see in it?" and Chris Evans replied, "Yes, please," or something like that.
Yeah.
So do you think? Or the other option is like people going, "Oh, put Robert Downey Jr." I don't think it would be that either. I think.
I'd like that.
Really?
Yeah, he's a good actor.
I don't know. He's a good actor, but I don't know. I just can't see him in. Maybe it's just I just picture him with the Tony Stark beard. Maybe if you just.
I mean,
Shaved it off.
he's another character in other films. I mean, if you watch Chaplin or
Is he?
if you watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, he's doesn't feel like Tony Stark in it.
Is that what actors do?
Man can act.
I don't know. My thing with Star Wars is I think you can get. I suppose he would be. I wouldn't necessarily want him to lead a film, but he wouldn't have to. I suppose I like getting someone unknown, and then putting them in as the lead, and then having them be supported by great actors, and he could be a supporting actor, I suppose. Okay, Robert Downey, you're in. I'm Bob Iger now. I've signed it off. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes over the next coming months. I think we'll probably get an announcement of it at Celebration next year, which isn't until August next year. Let's go into last weekend's box office, and I didn't do a prediction last week because Tommy, I haven't been doing them while you've been gone because I didn't think it was fair. I've been a good sport.
Just so you know, I've done it every week and I've been exactly right to the pound, to the dollar every week.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what that means?
I'm winning?
No. That means you get minus points.
Oh.
If you get to the exact dollar, you get minus 1 point.
No, but I got to the exact pound, which is a different exchange rate. So
okay.
Yeah.
You took that into consideration. Oh, yeah, you get an extra 10 points. Just because of the exchange rate of points. And because you've been to different countries in that time.
It's true. Different continents.
Yeah. So last week's box office was Hustlers coming in at 5 with 16.8 million, It Chapter 2 with 17 million, Rambo coming in its first weekend at 18.8 million, Ad Astra with 19 million at number 2, and Downton Abbey coming in at number 1 with 31 million. Any surprises there for you?
I wouldn't say I'm particularly surprised by anything. I think Downton Abbey was always going to do quite good.
The Americans love British people.
They do. People love that. I've never seen an episode, and I've only seen the trailers for this film. And do you know what? It feels like they did the right thing. Like, it seems like, yeah, that's the right story for this kind of adaptation of this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I'm massively surprised. What about you?
I don't know. I think I wrote down my predictions. I didn't do it. But I think I was surprised at how much it was. It's difficult to know how much the Americans like Downton Abbey.
I mean, it's one of the recurring jokes in Iron Man 3, and that's $1 billion movie.
You're right. That's where the recognition came from. But yeah, it was kind of difficult to. So that was kind of the only grey. I think I got the order right, perhaps. Have you checked out any of these films? You've been put on? Hustlers, It Chapter 2, Rambo, Ad Astra.
I've I've seen It Chapter 2.
What did you think?
I thought it was boring.
Yeah, yeah, I did a review for it.
I thought it was proper boring.
I don't know. I think that it should have gone a different way. I don't think I said this in my review. But I think they should have just done something different instead of just shouting at a clown to take it down. That was really. I think it was underwhelming. I didn't find it scary.
Do you know what? I think it was Lewis who hit that nail on the head. And in case you missed it a few weeks ago, when he said it's not a horror film. And the best part about It Chapter 1 is that it was a coming-of-age film.
Yeah.
And exactly. The difference is, this time, they're adults. They've come of age. So the one interesting thing about It 1, or It Chapter 1, or just It, whatever you want to call it, it isn't here anymore. You can't do that again. And I think it was lacking because of that. Bill Hader was amazing, by the way. He was
great. And the
biggest takeaway.
Bill Hader and the guy who played Eddie. It was their film. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
Have you watched Rambo?
No, I can't wait.
You might want to wait.
I feel like I'm gonna love it.
Yeah. I don't know. You might like Rambo, but do you like a revenge film?
I like both of those things. I love revenge films.
But they're not the same thing in this film. I don't know. It doesn't feel feel like a Rambo film. It feels like just a revenge film with Sylvester Stallone. You'll see what I mean when you see it.
That sounds kind of like Rambo 4.
I don't know. It's been a while since I watched Rambo 4.
Or John Rambo, as it's called. Because that was back in the age of just Sylvester Stallone coming back and naming his classic film properties just the first name and surname instead of the surname and then a number.
Do you see who wants to make
Rocky Balboa?
I think we spoke about it on one of the other episodes. He wants to make another Rocky.
I'd watch it.
But is he going to get back in the ring?
I'd watch it. He doesn't get in the ring in every Rocky film.
But I feel like he has to.
He doesn't get in the ring in Rocky 5, and that's great.
5?
It's great, James.
5 isn't great.
He fights in the street. He fights Tommy the Gun Morrison. And it's great.
No one says 5
Don
is great.
King
You're
is there.
the only person who has said that. No one said great about Rocky 5.
I love it.
I really enjoyed Ad Astra. I think you might like Ad Astra.
Amazing things. I'm sure I'll love Ad Astra.
I think so. That's one you have to see in the cinema.
I've heard it's like the 2001: A Space Odyssey meets Apocalypse Now.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously the other comparison is Interstellar, which they're a little bit.
Oh yeah, I've also heard it's a better Interstellar.
I prefer it.
I don't think would be difficult because it sucked.
I wouldn't say it sucked, but I
Did you
definitely
see this whole thing on this whole argument the other day on film Twitter about which was better, Interstellar or Inception? Like it's even close.
What that? Okay, that is a ridiculous question. Inception all the way. Like, why is that even a question? Because they begin with I. Because they begin with in.
Because they're two Chris Nolan films with,
Yeah, but that's already a decision made. If you voted for Interstellar, then don't follow me.
Telling you, there's some people out there.
They're people that I don't want to be friends with. You can't be.
But there's also people out there that made Transformers like $1 billion franchise. So. I
mean, I was part of that, but I don't know how it works with Unlimited Card and if you actually pay for it or not. I don't know how that works. The film that was out this weekend was Abominable. We've decided we're not going to do our predictions this week because I accidentally saw the list. Should we do the list now? Or should we save it?
Yeah, just reveal the list now.
No,
save it for next week, so we've got something to talk about then.
Okay. Judy was also out this week, but I think that was only a limited release. And then
can I reveal a little secret to the listeners about my incompetence?
Go on then.
We was supposed to go to the red carpet premiere of Judy. I got us press access, but I didn't reply to the email quick enough, so I lost it. Yep, that's reply to your emails on time, kids.
I mean, I've now got my email set up, so I would have. Should we reveal the other thing that we're going to be doing at the end of the month?
Yeah, we can reveal that now.
You go and do it. You do it. This is your return announcement.
Oh, okay. We're going to be going, I guess, back to London MCM Comic Con. We've got some exciting things planned. I think we're actually probably going to have a sort of larger sort of pre-production meetings beforehand to discuss more. So it's not that we're trying to be all secretive about not announcing what we're going to be doing there yet. I think we just kind of don't know what we're going to be doing there yet.
Well, we do know. I'm just acting like.
Well, I don't. I definitely don't.
I definitely don't know.
What we do know is we do have a guest host who's going to be joining us on the floor for the day, doing some exciting things. We won't announce who that is yet.
Is it me?
But it's not you.
No, thank you. I don't want to.
But I'm excited for who it is. I think you guys are going to like him.
Is it him? We've narrowed it down. Is it Harrison Ford?
But there are some very exciting guests there.
Simon Pegg.
Including Simon Pegg, yeah. And one exciting thing is the video game Cyberpunk. Was it 2099? Whatever it is.
Yeah, 2099. Yeah.
There's going to be 45 minutes of gameplay there. And we're going to try and get some access to that. So those are two things that we're very excited about at the event. We'll keep you posted with more when we know more.
Yeah. And that kind of wraps us up for this week's episode of In Case You Missed It. Tommy, where can people find you if they have forgotten where?
They've forgotten? Yeah. You've not been reminding them?
No, I have. Every episode I say, follow Mr. TT Green and at him if you've got any questions.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. Because Miles doesn't have a Twitter.
Well, you know. Does he not? That's
plug
crazy.
up. He would just plug other people's Twitter. So he plugged Jeff Goldblum.
You're saying this as if I didn't listen when I wasn't on the show. I listened.
Well, then you already know.
I was making sure you weren't up to no good.
Oh. I was definitely up to no good.
Yeah, I know you were. But anyway, yeah, you can find me at Mr. TT Green on Twitter.
And is there anything else you want to plug, just for the sake of plugging stuff?
No, I mean I've plugged some new podcasts that I'm kind of on and off again, sort of working on. Actually, do you know, I'm gonna plug. This is really different from Inside the Network, but I've been producing on a podcast called On the Ward, and it's totally different to like the film and entertainment world, but I think everyone can learn something from it. And it's about kind of like mental health, and it's interviewing patients that are currently under section, which is really rare and unique opportunity that we got. So this is patients that are currently in like secure. This is a secure forensic hospital. So there's kind of nothing like. There's a few other interviews out there of patients that used to be in these kind of facilities, but this is the only one out there in the whole world where they're currently in them and they're currently sectioned, and they're given a voice to kind of talk about tell their stories. I mean, we've had patients before that have said that they would rather tell people that they were in prison than in one of these hospitals. So we kind of wanted to find out why. And most people's first impressions of these facilities are kind of what they see in films like, you know, Terminator 2 and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and all these kind of clinical white sponge walls, straight jackets. We want to kind of remove that stigma. And I feel like we've got 3 episodes out at the moment. Should be a couple more. But yeah, it's been in The Guardian, it's been on the radio, it's been in like the Metro, so people are talking about it, and you know, I want you guys to listen and talk about it as well. So it's called On the Ward. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you know, Stitcher, or the usual podcast places.
Oh, yeah, go and check that out. Go and follow us on Twitter at Insider Network. Find us on Facebook at Insider Network, or just search it. You know how Facebook works. And on Instagram as well for that. You can find us on YouTube as well. Go and subscribe on there because we have YouTube only content, and we're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher as well. You can find me at Floodgate28. During the week, I'm gonna do a in 10 DC films to go with the release of Joker, which is the end of this week. Well, let's come around.
It's come around. It's
Yeah.
coming up.
So we'll probably try and do a review for Joker as well if we can. And yeah, we'll see you next week for hopefully more big film news like this week. I like.
I look forward to it. I'm back.
Tommy's back. Goodbye.